Hi, my name is Omer and I'm from the EY blockchain team. This is the first video out of a series of demo videos of our new smart contract testing studio. To use the testing studio, feel free to sign up at blockchain.ey.com and to continue to the smart contract review tool where you can find the testing studio. What is EY Smart Contract Testing Studio? It's a sandbox environment for testing and simulating Ethereum transactions, whether those transactions are interactions with smart contracts or simulating ETH transfer. The tool is totally codeless and UI based. There's no need for a setup or connecting to any type of external application or wallet. The tool creates a snapshot of a blockchain, whether that's an empty state or a copy of the state of the mainnet, whether it's the current block, or you can actually select specific block number to start with and create your test on top of that specific state. You can do the same soon for testnets and private networks. The tool allows you to interact with any type of a smart contract and also allows you to simulate multiple deployments and then simulating interaction between several smart contracts. This is super important and exciting for the DeFi world when we see multiple digital assets interacting between each other, and it's not always easy to simulate those interactions. And what's exciting that the tool allows you to easily create and then share your testing scenarios and the testing results. Let me start by creating a new testing story. We'll call that simple token. That's the name of the smart contract that I've created. The description gives you some extra information about what the test is about. This test is about minting and also about grant, revoke, minting rights. We'll choose an environment of an empty state. We want to start from scratch, simulating interaction with the smart contract that was not deployed to the mainnet yet, and this is a good way for us to create a different testing scenario before we deploy a new smart contract to the mainnet. I'll create a new testing story, and I basically start with an empty screen. I can see down in here all the different step types, and while I'm creating the testing story, I can create as many of steps as I want from each one of those step types. I can define multiple smart contracts, etc. I'll start by defining a smart contract. First thing I should do is give this smart contract an alias name for display, and I'll be using that name when I'm calling the smart contract in the next steps, mostly around the execution of a smart contract function. I'll click Edit Contract File, and this opens a File Explorer and a code editor. And here I have several options to write the smart contract in the code editor, to copy and paste the smart contract code that I fetch from Etherscan or other resources. I'll choose the option to upload a full directory from my current machine, and let me upload 26 files here. And you can see the different files here in the File Explorer. Let me just quickly delete the main source that is empty and is not in use. I will select the simple token contract to be the main contract to be deployed. And also I can see here to the right that the solidity version is already automatically populated, and this is the solidity version that I would like to use to compile this smart contract. Click Validate, and the code is being validated and compiled. Once it's compiled successfully, I can close this and continue with defining the smart contract. There are a few operations that I can choose here. The deploy the smart contract is automatically selected in a situation where we have an empty state environment. We will discuss the different options in additional videos when we are going to post later. So the constructor argument is the name, and I'll call it SMTP, just the name I gave this token, and I will execute this definition, or basically calling the constructor and creating and deploying the smart contract from the O1 address that will be the owner of the smart contract. I'll click Run the testing story. I can also add additional steps. I just want to make sure that the deployment was successful. I can see the result that the smart contract was successfully compiled and deployed, and also some additional information about the sender, the gas that was used the amount of gas that was used to execute this transaction, and information about the logs that were emitted, a few events here of granting the different roles to different addresses of the smart. Basically, all those three roles were granted to this O1 address, which is the new owner of the smart contract. So I'll continue with creating a new execute smart contract function. Let me just choose here the simple token, and we can start by calling the mint. Let me just call quickly the balance of function. Let's see what is the balance of the O1 address. And the output is 0, it's empty. So let me execute another function, which is the minting function. And I would like to mint to the O1 function an initial supply, let's say, of this amount of simple tokens. I can also rename this step and run the testing story. It was successful, and we can see that transaction was successfully executed, and there was a transfer of this amount of new tokens. Okay, so let's say that this address O1 is the developer that deployed the smart contract to the mainnet, and now he would like to transfer his minting rights to another person. Let's say it's the compliance officer of the company, and we want to make sure that the developer doesn't have those minting rights and will revoke those rights. And in addition, we also would like to transfer the full amount of tokens that were allocated to the developer, the O1 address. Actually, we could have mint the tokens to the O2 of the compliance officer address, but let's add another transfer function. Let me just make sure that I copy the exact amount here, and I will add just quickly, this is balance of O01. Just want to make sure that the names of the function of the steps make sense, and this is mint to O01, right? Okay, so I'll add now, let's say, a transfer function. Let's see the transfer function works well as well. And I would like to send from the O1, from the developer, to the O2, to the compliance officer. Not necessarily that's the right way to do that, but let's say that O2 is another person in the company, and the amount that we want to send is the full amount that exists in this address. Let's rename that transfer to O02. Okay, and run testing story. Everything is successful, and we have a successful transfer. Okay, so and I can double check now that actually the balance. No, let's use this duplicate. I can duplicate the step and move it down here. Okay, let's move that step here and run the testing story again, so we can recheck the balance of O1, and as you can see, output is 0 because now all the amount, the full amount was transferred successfully to O2. So we actually validate that the transfer function works as intended as well. Now, let's continue by start working on shifting the minting rights and revoking for the original minting rights. So in order to do that, we need to identify the role of a minter and use that definition to transfer those rights. So this function returns the value of the minting role of the smart contract. Let me quickly run that. Let's rename this step minter role. Okay, let's move on to grant the role to the O2 address. Grant role. This is the value, and make sure this is for the O2, and run testing story. Again, was successful, and role granted to the O2 account. Very good. This validates that grant minter role to O2. I can actually add here another step to make sure that another function works as intended. I can use the hasRole function to check if this role it was updated correctly. We saw that in the event, but just to make sure to double check that it works as intended. And here we go, true. So this role of minter is actually granted successfully to the O2 address, O2 as minter role. Okay. And one last thing that we would like to do will actually to revoke these minting rights from the original owner, which is the 001. Revoke minting rights 001. Okay. Revoke. This is the role that we want to revoke from the. Okay, cool. That was successful, and we can duplicate this step and move it down here, and we can rename that to 01 has minter role. Let's fix that and ask about 01, does that person or that address has the role of minter? Okay, false. So successfully revoked the minter role. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this video helpful. If you have any questions or feedback, the tool is still under development. Feel free to drop us a message below or in our subreddit r/EY blockchain. In the next video, I'll demo simulating mainnet transactions, so please stay tuned.